Now, good morning, afternoon, or evening. Welcome to this session. This is a follow-up session from our previous tutorial. So kindly welcome. Now, as a follow-up to the previous tutorial, allow me to share my screen. As a follow-up to the previous tutorial, we have already covered the first task, which is site drafting, modeling, and documentation. We're now embarking on the second task, which is main building, drafting, modeling, and documentation. By now, you'll notice the key functions of those three stages. Drafting, as I always say, because we are starting, we have not yet gathered the knowledge of modeling so much. It's always helpful to help us understand what we intend to model, okay? So, as I said, and I'll repeat, over time, once you have improved on your experience, you might find that drafting and modeling can be done simultaneously, okay? Documentation, we know what documentation is. The only difference between task A and task B is that now we are dealing on the building. Unlike the previous one, which we are dealing with the location and the site. Right now we are doing the building. What does that mean? It means that there are some specific deliverables that we'll expect. And you'll find that these deliverables will have bigger scales. Deliverables like floor plans and roof plans. Deliverables like sections, elevations, okay? We are going to use the same tools that we use for site drafting. So by now you should be seeing proficiency in that. Most importantly, because it's drafting, we are going to use two tools, starting the worksheet. And the key thing is that we have to deploy the various image fields to make it presentable. And we must use pen weights the way we will have used them if we are drafting on the table, okay? Now, I intend to use some sample work of a student, a former student. These are Martionette, so these are his scheme drawings, and these are his working drawings. So I want to use these ones as the basis of my drafting, and more specifically, we are going to draft that ground floor, okay? Now, as I mentioned, it's always critical that you have a thorough understanding of your building. The reason why I'm even using these buildings is that because the student was successful in executing the design. So you find that his deliverables are logical, they make sense. And therefore, when it comes to drafting and modeling, it will be a very straightforward process, okay? So let us not waste time. Let's go directly. Now, I always like separating the model for site and the model for the building. I'm saying so because there's usually a lot of dynamics on site that at times at this level, as an amateur, it might confuse you, okay? So for me, it's always easier to bring the site model as a module here, so that if there are any changes that I need to make, major changes, I can make them on the site model. What does that mean? It means that when you are starting this work, you have to start as new. And when starting as new, instead of using the template, use the latest project settings so that all the previous element attributes that were already created can be carried over, okay? When you don't do that, you'll have challenges with regards to your element attributes, which will force you to start them again from scratch, or clone them, which in the process usually lose some of them, okay? So in my case, if I look at basic things as building materials, I can see some of the building materials that I have created, okay? So kindly create a new one using the latest settings, and then we proceed on. So the first step will be to import the drawing that you want to draft. And when it comes to drafting, you have various ways. You can have a hard copy and just draft based on what you're seeing in the hard copy. You can have a soft copy, which you draft side by side. And then you can have an overlaying. What I have here is a basic example of whatever I want to do. So I'll want us to create a new worksheet and call it ground floor. And create. So you have to make sure that the scale is correct. You're using scale 1 to 50. The orientation is okay. And most importantly, it's always important that we start from the origin, okay? So the first step will be to import. So without that layer, let's choose a layer for it. So let's use 2D for working drawings. That will work for me now for the time being. We need the sample documentation. You know, it's page 6. So as you can see, you have already imported it. It is rotated, I think, because the settings are at 180. So let's put it at 0. Okay. This is what we want to draft. Okay. One thing I will inform you at this level is that while the scan looks perfect, one of the challenges with the digital scans is that it might not be exactly as perfect as you want it to be, okay? Let me just quickly try to see like this one. If I draw a straight line here, and look at the angle is not necessarily 0. It's not necessarily horizontal. So those are the small things that we'll have to tweak. So at this stage, I'll want to first of all tweak it so that it's horizontal. I'll do that by putting a hotspot at that point. Also put a hotspot at this point. So the hotspots, I want to use the hotspot for 2 functions. One, to rotate this one so that it's horizontal. Which I've done. And number 2, to resize that drawing so that it conforms to the size, okay? So the dimensions so far, I think the 3 dimensions, that is 9600 plus 8500, that should be 18100. So I need to resize that from 16:18 to 18100. So that gives me the actual size, okay? The only thing that you may notice that as much as you have put that on horizontal, let's just try and see if this one is exactly as vertical as it's supposed to be. Remember, that's an orthogonal drawing. Again, it's not such a perfect match. As you can see, it's getting lost a little bit. So those are things that are expected when you're scanning, when you scan. So ideally, when we start drafting, we'll not blindly follow the lines, but we'll have to be logical in what we are doing so that at the end of the day, we have the right drafted drawing, okay? Now, I would want to start drafting, and at drafting level, it's normally advisable to use a fill. And this fill, if I start with a column, I will deliberately choose a building material that I already created, okay? And among the materials that I had already created, I think one of them is concrete, okay? And then in terms of the edge, again, just like usually draft, will use a pen that is thicker. And then I will change the layer, ensure that you use a proper layer so we can have a layer of building elements. I can view the specific columns. Remember, we had learned how to do layers. And again, I insist at this level, I want you to be proficient in creating all these attributes, okay? At some point, you'll start using the standard layering systems, which will not need you to create your own. You'll just use the standard ones. But for now, for the sake of learning, it's appreciable if you create your own, okay? Now, allow me to start with this column. This column, first of all, the standard thickness of walls are 200 unless stated otherwise. And this column, I can easily estimate that that being 200, this column is around 700. Okay, so as you can see, we have put it, and at least we have it there. I can drag a copy and place one there around 3 meters. And what you'll notice is that it's not as long as that other one, so that will do, okay? And then I will place the other one. It's another around 3 meters. No, this is around 29. So when I was talking about logic, you'll see I'm deliberately trying to do that, okay? The scan is not specifically or exactly orthogonal, okay? So I need also to use logic when you're drafting this thing, so at the end of the day, when I do my work, it will be work that is perfect, okay? So we've had the first set of columns. The second set of columns are at a distance of 3,200. Okay. What I've noticed is that we just have the peripheral ones. So we don't have this one. So we can remove that one for the time being. And then the same set of columns are here. Okay. You'll notice that we have a column here that is horizontal, long, and horizontal. And I can deliberately rotate this copy. And then drag it. Okay. You notice that it's longer based on the designer. Okay, so I need to respect that. So that is a column that we'll have there. Okay. We also have a set of column at 3,200. So I'll pick these two. $3,200. So you'll notice that we're already getting a bit lost, okay, here. It's not matching simply because of it being a scan, okay? So Okay. We have another set of columns here. Now this one's at 3,500. So what I'll do, drag a copy, 3,500. Then I'll move this one. It's around 1,800, 1,750. Then I'll still drag a copy around 2,450. Okay. Now, remember that I'm not the author of the original work. That's why I have to make some logical decisions. And that one, you expect it in real world, because most of the times you might be given a situation where you are drafting an existing building based on either the drawing that was done a long time ago, so you have to scan and overlay it, or measurements that you did on site, okay? So in such a situation, you have to logically do what I'm doing. But in situations where you are the author of your work, we should not have this kind of struggles, okay? So it's around 700. So I'll push that one up. Then I'll stretch it to reflect that long character that it has. Again, okay. Last but not least, we have these ones that are angular. Allow me to drag a copy of this and rotate it to reflect that. What I might want at this level is to know, in fact, the best one to take will be this, because this will give me the actual dimension of 5,000. Okay, so ideally that gives you an idea of where it is supposed to be. So if I place it there and rotate it, okay, and then I can rotate a copy of the same and place it. Provisionally, I'll just place it, but at the right time, I'm going to confirm where it's supposed to be, okay? So if you look at this in principle, did I forget to change the columns? Yes, so we need to change the layers. If we look at this in principle, we have an idea of the structural grid in the form of columns of this building, okay? And I've tried to make them as logically congruent as the drawing that we have. So now for me, I always like when work starts from the origin, okay? Especially when the grid. So for me, this point should be at the origin, but let's continue. We'll correct that one as we proceed on. So with this, having known where the columns are, I can logically place my grid lines, okay? So allow me to place the grid lines. So for the grid lines, I'm going to use double dashed. I'm going to use a 0.2 pen, and they're going to run through the center. Okay, so I need to place it in its correct layer. We have a layer of the grid, and since it's just pure line work, I just need to adjust the settings. Show the pen. Someone asked me, Mwalimu, How do you ensure that your pens are as consistent as what you are drawing? You must always make the true line weight your friend, okay? Allow me to show you why. In this situation, the pen weights are not shown, so your work might look perfect, but when you go print, you might have issues, okay? Like, I'll give a situation, if I retained this one the way it was, let's just retain it that thick, okay? Everything looks fine. However, when you go to print, which will be a true weight, that is what will happen. So you'll find that your graphical communication will not be good, okay? So to avoid that, it's always good to draft using true weight line so that you are sure of what you are doing, okay? So I've retained it that way. So for me, by now, I think you know that the horizontal grids are normally lettered. So that one also be in the grid. Then I'll now group it. When I group it, and even add it, I can quickly place them. So just need to, because I'm placing them based on that edge, just need to drag a copy, multiple drag of copies. This grid was not there. I'm tempted to add that grid. I think we have a grid here of 17,900. Okay. So with that, we'll have placed those ones. Okay. This grid for the cantilever will equally be important, though it has no column. Allow me to add that grid, so that one's around 2 meters. Okay. And I can double them. Okay. So we have already placed those grids. So allow me to create a grid, the horizontal one. Okay. So that one I can do by just mirroring a copy of one. Allow me to mirror a copy of that. Okay. While mirroring it, ensure that the text, the orientation is 0, so that it's legible, and ensure that the grid line goes beyond your drawing. Okay. So rule of thumb, the grids always start from the origin upwards and rightwards. Okay. So as you can see, that's a small anomaly in the drawings. So we usually start from 1 with a down one going up. Okay. So allow me to quickly make copies of the same. This one's also 2 meters. Then this one. This one is around 31. This one is around 33. You can see I'm making some assumptions which are wrong. This is 32 and this is 32. So I will need to place them based on even this one is 1900. Now, those I always insist that you always lose logic when you're doing this work, because especially where the dimensions are indicated, use those indicated dimensions. That's 3200. Then we have another 3200. Okay. So at least that one guides us. And then we can label them from 01. 02. 03. 04. So at this level, you can see that we have our grid. And with that grid, I think we can now move with speed. Okay. So now with that, we can now easily put our walls. Our walls, again, you'll use the building material that you have created for your walls. And at times with the element attribute, you can really localize, and I will use a local material. For some of us who are in Nairobi, we know the stone that we commonly use is gotten from the Ndarugu mines. So I will use that, okay? And allow me to create a layer of walls. If you had created them prior to this, then it will be very easy for you to handle this part in terms of creating the layer, because you already have it. So there's a question of choosing the correct layer. So I'll go and change that. Now for me, the walls are basically between the columns. So let's look at the settings for the walls again. In terms of pane weight, it will not be as thick as a column. Maybe it will be a 0.5. Then material is already made. The layer is already fine. So with that, I can easily place my walls. Easily place that one. Okay. Now, one thing you'll notice that our walls are transparent while our columns are not. This is just a setting of the building of the building material. Okay. So let me select it. This is my wall. Let's just select and see the settings of the building material. As you can see, it's made transparent. We can make it have a white background, and if you do that, it will just match the tone of the column. So you can always toggle those settings. I'll want to place that wall. So I can either drag a copy, I can draft, place them, all those, the choice is yours, okay? And for me, I always find that once I've done one, it's easy to drag a copy so that I'm even able to retain my settings properly. So I'll place that one all the way. Then along here, we have one up here. Then I'll post a short one, maybe it's up to there. I'll leave it there for the time being. I'm deliberately putting all the vertical looking walls. Any other vertical wall remaining? This is predominantly a window feature, so I can leave that one for now. Let's act on the horizontal walls. I always, again, like starting from a known point. That's the edge of a column. So if you put 200, place that one, you're good to go. Okay. you can easily place this one. This is around 1900. Okay. And by extension, you can extend it. Goes up to there. Okay. Then we have this one along this column. Goes up to here. We're done with that part. Apart from that part for the window, do you have any other freestanding wall? Yes, we have one here. This column, that column. Then gives us a chance of correcting this column. That will be too slow. There's something there that's a bit lost. Okay. Now, I think with that we are done with the walls. The only thing you'll notice that with the white background, we might not see what is happening below it. So for me, that's why I like toggling between a white background and a transparent background, so that at the point where you want to see what is happening, and place that. And a good example is this point here. This point here, we have a door. Okay. So technically, having placed the walls, let us see what we are getting. Okay, so technically you have placed the walls. Okay, such walls at this level, you can now start cleaning them. Okay, rule of thumb: where walls meet, you can't have a line. So what you need to do at this level, I can even decide to merge all the fields that are similar. So how do I do that? I'll specifically select, so Control F, I'll specifically select. So this is another thing that you need to learn, how to use the select tool. I'll specifically select that building material. So if I say yes, then I can merge or consolidate. Okay, so you see right now there are 9. Let us say if you consolidate, they reduce to how much? They reduce to 6, and you'll see what happens to the ones that were joining, like that one and this one are joining, so you can see that they are consolidated. This one, if I remove the true weight, you might find that they were not joining, and see, as a result, they could not be consolidated. But if I move that and reconsolidate, they should be resolved. Okay, so you can see the ones that were overlapping are consolidated. Okay, and as a result, it makes our work a bit easy. Okay, so with that, we are done with the walls. The next layer that I will want to handle are the doors. So for now, allow me to create a layer for doors. I want to take note of doors and windows, because how we deal with them at drafting level will be slightly different from how we deal with them at the modeling level. But let's have a look at them. Now, we have doors. Okay, a very good example is this. It's a swing door. Think the guest room. This should be a sliding door. There's no sliding door. We'll have to create one, or even just put a swing door so that we take advantage of the balcony. This one is a swing door. Okay, and normally you find that they are of standard sizes. Okay, and if for some of us whom we have done these things practically in studio, you know that your doors, let's say, have a radius of 875. So let's work with 900. And as I always tell students, you must know how or what creates that 875. Don't just take my word blindly, okay? So we have the door, and then we have the frame. The frame, we can use a frame of 100 by 50. Okay. And then that frame, ideally, it's made of timber, okay? So you lose nothing by using that timber material at this level. So you look for timber. So a bit of structural timber here. So let me use it for the time being. Then definitely the pen will be a smaller pen, maybe a 0.3. Sure the pen weight is on. Okay. I'll curiously want to look at the settings of that building material so that I'm very sure that it works for me. So yeah, it's wood. You can see this is what is making it look not look like wood. So if I adjust that and we look at what I've adjusted again, and then that background will be fine. The material will be fine. So let me just put a bigger version of that to see whether it's making sense. It's making a bit of sense. So maybe because of the setting of this material. So let's go and look for wood. Let's see if we copy. Let's just go to the wood itself and see where the material is. Wood. So we need to go and select wood and a vectorial fill and see what is happening. So let's go to fills, vectorial, wood, shape pattern. Maybe this size is what is making it. So yeah, as you can see, that's 100%. So let's put it, remember that it's based on plan. So let's put it around 100. 100. Yeah, now it starts to make sense. If I say okay, now makes a bit of sense. Again, the 100 feels a bit exaggerated. So let's go and adjust it to maybe 50. 50. For some of us who know the relationship between the leaf and the frame, will agree with me that the frame is usually better when it's at the center. Okay. So let's also have it on this other side. And just for clarity, this distance is the one that is normally 875. So I worked backwards, it is wrong. So the distance between the two should be 900. I saying the distance between the edge to the edge. The distance from that edge, this other edge should be 900. Okay, so really that should be the perfect curve. So again, I do these things and I'll repeat to make you understand what you intend to model. When you don't have these basics, you'll always struggle. Do things just for the sake, and at the end of the day, they will not help you, okay? So I'll want to come and place my door. Allow me to center it. What does that mean? It means that the extent of my wall that's touching the door needs to be cut off. Now, if I split as a consolidated fill, a number of things will go bad. So all what I need to do is to use the subtract tool and subtract from that point. So with that, I'll have placed my DOM. Let's have a look at it. There it is, okay? In terms of display, ideally the wall will be given priority. So in terms of display, we'll take this one to the back. At the end of the day, the wall is given priority. The other thing that we need to remember at this level is that above the door, we normally have beams. Remember that in terms of graphical communication, you need to show things that you cannot see but are important. In this case, we have beams that are above our walls that most of the times we do not see, okay? So I can use even a lighter so that it does not scream, does not compete with our door. So with that, I will have properly represented my door. Okay. And in our case, all what you need to do is just drag a copy of the same where they are needed. Trying to look for my hidden line simply because of the display order. I cannot get it. There they are. So I will group those three items, the frame, the swing, and the leaf, and the edge of the door. And that's what I'll be using for all my subsequent drafting of doors. So I need a door here. So I'll come and place it. So I don't need to redraft the whole thing again. I already have one, okay? So I just need to drag a copy and place. And once I've placed, I just need to remove the extent of the wall. So instead of again splitting, because it's a consolidated wall, I might lose more than I expected. All what I need to do is to subtract, okay? And so on and so forth, okay? So with that, at least it's a small problem there. Either the wall is lost or the column is lost. Which is which? Let's see the position of the column. Yeah, I think the wall is lost, okay? So all what I need to do is to move it upwards by the extent of the loss, which is around 200. So I need to move it upwards by 100. But that means that I also need to adjust this column. Again, I will say these are normal things when you are drafting from a scanned drawing. So you'll have to be looking for ways of logically reconciling everything. Okay. So you can see with that, we'll have placed our door. Now, by now, I think you know that the door for the washroom is normally slightly smaller than the normal door. So all what I need to do is to do a little bit of editing on the door that I had. But before doing that, I just need to see if I've taken care of all those. I'm not comfortable with that rotating door. Maybe I can use a double door. in my porch. Okay, same case as this. So allow me to first of all correct the small door. Now, I want to show you some techniques that you can use to quickly sort out these things, okay? We have a tool here that most of us surely don't use. It's a very important tool. It's called a stretch tool. If you go to edit, then the shape, you'll get a stretch, okay? This stretch helps you to move the things within the marquee by a certain distance. I know that we need to move it by 100, okay? So instead of individually picking each item and moving, we just need to use the stretch tool. And then all what now I need to do is to come and place my quadrant. Okay. Now that one will work for us in the bathroom. So I'll pick it and come and place it where we need it in the bathroom. We need it there. Then if you need it there, you can easily hide that layer and quickly subtract. So as you can see, it's a bit manual because you're doing it manually, but at our level, I will insist that learn how to do these things. Right now, when you come to modeling, you will not struggle so much. When it comes to modeling, you will know what you are modeling for, okay? So we are done with that door. Allow me to create a double door. Double door again, if you know your knowledge on construction, it's basically the same as this. Only thing is that in our case, we can mirror it. For mirroring, we extend really, if I properly mirrored, should have been there. Okay. Then I just extend the extent of our beam. So that will surface. And that one, I'll comfortably use it for the two doors. For this door, I've not placed the wall. Let me use it for this door in the meantime. So I'll place it. And for such doors, again, the choice of material, if it's steel, most probably it will open outwards. Okay. So as a result, now this one, because it's a singular fill, it's not consolidated, I can comfortably split. As you can see, you can use a split tool, you can use a subtract tool, depending on the context, okay? So with that, maybe allow me to place this other wall. We had not yet placed it. Goes from end to end, end of that column to end of that column, okay? What I need to do is to mirror this, mirror copy, drag it. Maybe this one will want to place it at the center. It's centered, no, it's not centered. So let's just come and place it. Okay, again, this wall, singular, so it's not consolidated. So I can easily split. Then you must be careful how you are splitting. So especially someone here, and so on and so forth. So with that, you've already placed that. Maybe at this level, we know that we'll have a step here. So we can upgrade that one from a hidden line to a solid line. We remember we have a step there, okay? And I can take the same settings and place them here. Okay, so with that, we have placed our walls. Ideally here we need a wall, since it was not a door, since it was not placed, allow me to place a steel door that opens outwards here. Maybe here, no, because of the facade design. Allow me to place one that opens here, okay? What does that mean? It means that we need to place our wall. Maybe his intention was to use one of the fins there to have a door. So maybe let's handle the windows, and then from there we'll go back to the doors. Now, if you look at his windows are unique in the sense that there are two interpretations to them. There might be a fin in the middle, because if you look, some are even thicker than the peripheral, okay? But at the same time, there might be parts of the frames, there might be styles or transoms, okay? I'm tempted to use that option of a style and transom because if you look like here, but again, it looks like a structural element because that's the extent of the window. The frame and what have you were not shown, which is understandable at this level, okay? So let's try and understand him. And that one maybe can be clarified with our elevations. Let's look at his elevations. Yeah, if you look at the type of those vertical elements. So again, it depends on how you want to interpret it. They can be independent elements with a number of windows in them, or they can be frames part of the window. So for me, allow me to use them. Let me look at them as independent structural elements. And if they're independent structural elements, I can give them 100 by, in fact, I'm tempted to push them slightly outside so they are pronounced by 300. Okay. I can make them of precast concrete. Okay. So it means, and what you'll notice that they are equally placed. So that one gives us a chance to use some tools here that again, no one will teach you, but you need to learn how to use them. If I use the control box and use the half option, I can establish the half of that. But this one you can see it's divided into 3 equal parts, so I can divide into 3. Now it's divided into 4. Let me divide it into 3. If I divide it into 3, it gives me that part. And it gives me that part, okay? So I will place my fins at those equal positions. So you must always learn how to use those kind of tools. As I've said, there's so much that you need to learn here by yourself through exploration, okay? Also, these things no one will sit down to teach you, okay? So I have those. Allow me to place, I'm seeing you also have 2 of them here. What does that mean? It means that I need to divide that space into 3. And by just placing my hotspot along that line, I can identify the 3, okay? And with that, I can drag a copy of my fin from divisions to half. Place it there. Drag a copy and place it there. Okay. Now, these kind of things that help you to, that guide you, you normally need to place them on the layer of to hide, okay? So if you don't have it, let us create it. But at the end of the day, you will hide them because you don't need them. But again, remember, as I told you, everything is important in this, in anything that you do is important. So ideally should not delete, but rather should hide unless it's such a problem, okay? So we have that. Okay, so we have placed those two, which gives us a chance of now placing our door. Then we can place our windows. Let's do the same here. So here again is divided into 3. This one is as equal as this, so you lose nothing if you just drag those 3. Place them there. Then, in fact, we will lose nothing by dragging the fins actually, because the distance is the same. Place them there. Okay. Now, these are things that you can easily refine when you are drafting, as opposed to when drafting using this tool, as opposed to when you're drafting manually, because you can see there are 2 or 3 things that are getting lost on the drawing that we're trying to correct. So with that, we can comfortably now place our windows. Now, our windows is the same logic like our doors. We just need to understand them. Okay. In our case, we have a window from here to here, which is around 950. So let me work with a box of 950. $950. Now, how does your window look like? The window definitely usually has a frame. The frame is not as big as the wall, maybe around 50 by 25 if you're using mild steel. So if I'm using mild steel, this stage can come and place it. Mild steel, mild steel, mild steel, something close to that, okay? And a 50 by 25 would do. And again, in terms of graphical communication, it's not that thick, okay? Okay, we'll have one on that side and another on this side, okay? We might have extra transform styles, but for now, I will avoid that because the scale that we are working in, okay? So what I need to show is the glass. Glass will definitely be not more than 5 millimeters, but you'll realize that showing 5 here would be showing it as a double line. At 5 millimeters will be a walk in the park, or it will be difficult. So allow me to use even 10 for now in term for the sake of graphical communication. Okay, and then we'll place it there. Okay, remember we'll see the frame line below. So these things that we are cutting through, maybe a 0.3 would do instead of a 0.2. So let's work with a 0.3, so that the things we are going to see that edge of the frame can also be shown. Last but not least, we'll want to show the extent of the beam above. So let's take that setting, place it there. So as you can see, we already have a drawing of how ideally, if you were to draft, our window will look like, okay? So all what I need to do now is to group that and then drag a copy, place it here. With that one placed, you'll agree with me, we don't need any wall there. So I can delete that one and retain what we have. Okay, so as you can see, we've already shown our window there. And since they were equal, I hope they're still equal. Place it, they're not equal simply because the center did not take care of this side, and this side are not equal in terms of thickness. So when you took the center, it does not necessarily reflect that. So I need to adjust it. You can see that's 900, okay? So remember the tool that I showed you. So that I just don't adjust everything. All what I need to do is to stretch it inwards by 50, okay? And after stretching it, I just need to take it where it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be there, okay? Then most probably this one will be equal to this one. Okay, so with that, as you can see, we have finished up with the window. There's something that we forgot. Our window, remember, that does not go to the floor, okay? So the extent of the lower wall will not be dashed, but rather it will be a straight line that is solid. So ideally, that's the representative that you should have used. Apologies on that. So ideally, that's how our window is supposed to be seen. Okay, and we'll do the same thing for this other sole. What we just need to do is know the size, 950. Can easily pick up this one and work there. Okay, how much is this? This is 900. So I can pick the center one, use it there. This is a door, so I need to come and place a door there. I don't mind picking up this door, placing it there. So it's at that level, then I push it. It's there, okay? The door is slightly bigger, okay? So bigger by how much? That's a design issue. So maybe we can slightly push that one by 50. I'll still use the 950. We can use a 950 there instead of a 900 one. Okay, so we have that. So far, so good. Let's look at what we have here. We have the same language in terms of doors, in terms of windows, sorry. So I'll come, I don't think I'll lose anything if I pick the three of them and place them. I know that part should match this part. Are they joining? They're seamlessly fitting in. So as you can see, as long as you understand your building, then you'll have no problem. We have a display priority issue there. So as a rule of thumb, we can select all our columns. and push them to the top in terms of the display on them. Okay, that resolves that issue that you are seeing there. Let's undo and see now by correcting that, that issue is resolved. Okay, so as you can see, it's easy to place your windows, especially if you understand your work so well. Okay, I don't know what are we remaining with. I've not yet placed these windows, but it's the same language. Because of time, allow me to go to the next thing. Now, we have, maybe allow me to deal with these elements. I'm seeing we have some tubes here. We have some interesting tubes here. They are 200 by 200. So what does that tell you? It's RHS. So for me, what I'll do, I'll create it. So let's create those tubes quickly. They have a thickness. That is something that our friend forgot to write there. Let's give them a thickness of 3 millimeters. Remember, they are tubes. Okay. 3 again is too small to be shown here. Okay. So what does that mean? I can comfortably use line work that way to represent my tubes for now. So if I pick up that, and place it as a center one, okay? So before even placing the center, I need to establish which is the central point. Establishing the central point is very easy. I'm not sure if it's a perfect semicircle, but there are things that can help me get what I'm looking for. If I place that line there, okay, I can use the tangent. Let's place the tangent and see. If you place the tangent, you'll see that that's a perfect semicircle. Maybe the designer did not intend to do that, so we will not use a perfect semicircle. Maybe at 60 degrees. Now this one I'm now just doing guesswork because I'm not sure what his intention was. But let me use 75, okay? So 75 gives me that curve, and we have a central one, so that I can now comfortably come and place it at the center. That's the center, okay? And then we have 1, 2, 3 that have been spread. So we'll want to quickly spread those 3. So we have that at the center. Let us spread the 3. And I want at this level, we learn how to use the distribute, okay? So suppose we put 3, what happens? And for the distribute, you must align it to the path, otherwise it will not be rotated. So there's a center. You want to distribute 3. Something I might have forgotten. Distribute 3 minus 1. Okay. Remember that we have 3 and then we have a space. So that one, with experience, you'll realize that you need to spread 4 minus 1. So we'll have 4, but the last one will not be shown. So we'll spread it up to where? I think it's up to there. I suspect it's up to there. Okay. Be problematic. Let's put 3. So when you put 3, I think that one is representative of what we are looking for. And then what we'll realize is that our friend mirrored the same language there, only that he removed one or two because of the door. Now again, his door had a small design issue, which you can correct right now. You cannot have a door open that way. Okay, so definitely there are small design issues, but anyway, these are forum just from drafting and modeling. Do not look at design issues right now. So that one is well captured there. And we'll do the same, that part there. And now the beauty about this part is that we have a circle. Then at the end of the day, for it to be logical, that circle, let's just look at it. We have a circle from here. Let's put a perfect circle and see what we are getting. If you had a perfect circle, will not be matching what my friend was trying to achieve. Okay, so again, let's use around 70, 25. Okay, so that gives us the next best, though there again a bit of design issues. How do you ensure that that one easily gels with this? Okay, as you can see, his intention was to bring it up to there. Okay, maybe allow me to do it again to see if we can get it correctly. So for him, his intention, bring it up to there. Use the same. I think it resolves the issue. Okay. And then how many items have been placed? So he has placed a number of them: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. That 9, I can decide to equally distribute the 9. So let's equally distribute the 9. Let's pick up this one. I would want to distribute them into 9 equal portions. So one of the ways is by dividing this into those 9 portions. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So since they are 9 in number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Again, they're not well, which it's understandable considering that you're doing it manually. So I'll want to have 10 divisions. Then out of the 10, split them first. Ideally, I'll be tempted to ignore one, but let us look for the tangent of this. So ideally, that one there, let's have the confirm. No, something lost there. So I'm going to rotate them along that axis, okay? And we have various ways of doing them. Let's even just use spread and increment. I need to add 1, 2, 3, 4. So I just need to come and show the spread. I have those ones. And then I can easily rotate these ones. Let's say from there to there. And I'll have resolved my issues, okay? You can see there's a small issue on the edges. Maybe it was more of how the author designed it, because I'm seeing he's placing a bit of those half frames. How practical is it? I'm not so sure, but let's, for the time being, place them. We'll cross the bridge. So in terms of display order, I might not want to cut off, so I just need to send to back so that the moment I'll turn that one to white instead of transparent, will not see them. So we have that one in place. Okay. Any other thing that has been left? These ones, again, there's the same language. It's around 1,000, and I'm seeing those fins are a little bit bigger. So I'll just take this fin, make it a little bit bigger. They feel a bit big, but anyway, we just place them for the time being. And I'm noticing in this, it's like they're placed on the window as opposed to the window being between them. Okay, again, I don't know why. I'm torn between which one to use. In terms of construction technology, I would rather use this option. This option that we have. That does not mean that that other option cannot work. It can, but for the sake of maybe class right now, let's use this option. The other thing that you will notice in these elevations is that they are slanting, okay? There's that elevation. I'm not wrong, I think it's this one. So we have that slanting facade, so maybe that's why we are not even seeing the edge of our wall. So to that extent, I will want to follow what he's doing. You will not see that. Okay. So if we place it there, all what we need is to, so for me, as I've said, it will be easier to work with this each fin. So So allow me to hide the drawing layer for the time being so that you can see what I'm editing. I'll not want to complicate this process for now, because being a slanting wall, there are a number of things that you'll want to see. But for now, let's work with what we have. Now, I need to stretch this one by 100. So when stretching, you make sure that the grouping is suspended. Control H for the ones who know shortcuts by now. Okay. Then I'll want to spread them by 1300. 1300 includes the fin. 1300, let's just measure. It's 1200 still, sorry about that. So 1200. So that sorts out up to that extent. Okay. And I'll want to sort out this edge here by still stretching. The only thing is that the stretch at the end of the day will mimic that. So I'll want to stretch from this point to that point. Okay. You can see what happens when you don't suspend a group. So allow me to suspend a group, then stretch again, that point to that point. Okay. And I can easily mirror what I have there and place it on this other side. You'll see they're not necessarily equal. So I'll want to stretch this one also to sort out that issue. Did I suspend a group? No. So now it's suspended there. So as you can see, with those quick techniques, I've been able to place that wall. What is remaining? Let's look at what is remaining in terms of elements and components. We have a window here. Now, at times, if you know that it's adopting the same language, you don't need to kill yourself doing everything from scratch. All what you need to do is to copy. Say, for example, if I pick up the whole of this, and that's the beauty about this form of drafting, you don't need to do repetitive works. If you have done one and you have done it well, you just need to come and pick it and use it somewhere else. So in my case, I'm going to use it there. Okay. Is it gelling? Some extent, a little bit of differences, but I won't mind, for the sake of consistency, I won't mind using that there. Then come and place my wall there. Okay, and I'll use the same one, that side. Ideally, it helps you show what I've selected. So if I undo, then I just mirror copy and adjust it where it's supposed to be. Then we are good to go. Okay, so that will have finished that place. We have finished that part. So for me, let's agree that for the building elements, we are more or less done. Definitely, there are some beams that we need to show here and there. For example, I'm very sure that for this space to define our lobby and foyer and these other ones as much as open plan, we need to use the beams. Might want to use the beams to solve those issues. Okay, most probably we'll have a beam here. And also have a beam there. Okay, so as you can see now, it's just a question of finishing up the building elements. So have a beam there. Where else? There, you just have to check whether it's really necessary. Yeah, might need where the staircase is starting. So again, now I'm working from a basis of knowledge. Okay, my basic knowledge on structures, just to see how the building hold itself up. So with that, we are done with the elements of the building, which are basically the columns, the walls, and the beams. We are, to some extent, also done with the components, which are basically the windows and the doors. I think we are done with all that. So what is remaining are basically things like furnishing, things like fixtures. So let's start with furnishing. I want to place my wardrobes. At this level, I just need to do a proper presentation of my wardrobe. I'll need more of an image fill to represent it. So I just need to look for an image fill that is timber. Something like a mahogany finish. Do you have any mahogany here? I cannot see any mahogany here, but I'm seeing a mahogany door. Let us see how it looks like. Definitely we are seeing it, so we will not have strong pen weights. I'll just quickly draw it here and see what we are getting. And it's empty. Oh, there it is. Yeah, that will be a good representation. So since I want an image fill specifically for mahogany, then it will call for me to clone, okay? So that we just have mahogany, not specifically draw, but mahogany timber. So, and we can quickly change it from mahogany to mahogany timber. You've seen I've just cloned it, so there's nothing much that changes. There's the identification. It's normally 600. We put it by 2000. Okay. This level, I can even change the direction of the grain. Okay. And at this level, I will opt it should not compete with my walls, okay? So I can take it backwards. Okay, so that I'll have placed that. Allow me to even place the furniture at this point. Now, again, this is a hybrid of scheme and working because we are just drafting. So my furniture, I will want to place a bed, okay? For the bed, I have two options. I can use, you normally have the beds in 2D. Okay. I can use the standard presentation of a bed. Okay. Though I would like a bed with headboards. Let's use this one. It gives us a chance of changing those settings. Again, these ones you'll have to localize. Our standard beds for this is 1200 by 1800. I can use a lamp, whatever, of 300 by 300. Okay, and so on and so forth. So that one will be a good representation. All what I need to do is to ensure that in terms of representation, even the pen itself, I can so I need to create, let me create a layer of furniture. I forgot to create a layer for Windows, so ensure that you create that. And place your window items there. For me, or maybe you can call it window and doors. So let's place it again. So that's one of the options. Personally, for me, being a scheme, it's not that interesting because I feel it's a bit plain. I want to make it interesting. So how will I do it? I'll just need to look for a top view. Bed. An image for a top view bed. You can see I've gotten quite a number. The only thing is that they might not be as compatible as what I have, because most of them are for double beds. Okay. Let's see if we can get for a single bed. Yes, we have them, but with separate tables. So at this level, I have to make a decision. Okay. So maybe for my presentation sake, I can opt to use this. So I have used that one. Let's import that image and see how we can work around it. So I will use the same layer for furniture. I'll browse it. Just saved it, so it should be amongst the latest items. So here it is. Okay. So one thing, whether I like it or not, I cannot use a single bed with this. Okay. I will have to use a double bed, but maybe at this level, at some point you'll have to synchronize the two. what I'm trying to do, I'm basically trying to give it a transparent background. Okay. So that when I place it there, it does not interfere so much with the other things that are there. Now, if we are to use a double bed, this one, and if you add the duvet and what have you, that one will be around 2 meters. Okay. So with that, I've already scaled it. So all what I need to do is come and place it. Will it fit? That's another thing. Again, that one now becomes a design issue. If you rotate it, will it fit? Huge, huge, huge. So you can see clearly that double bed will not work for us here. So let's see if we can get our single bed. This one is heading towards what we are looking for. Let us open it. So let us place that one. So that one has not worked for us. Let's this other one. The most important thing is the size. So this one should be around 1300 if you add with the duvet, and then the length should be around 1900. Yeah, that one makes sense. Okay, so as I say, these ones you can exclusively do them in Archicad, but you need to learn the other techniques out of Archicad. Okay, but let's use this one for now. So if I come and now place it, see it's fitting so well. This way we are struggling, though it will fit, simply because the night tables are bigger than what I had placed, okay? So that will work for now. Tempted to hide that one for the time being. Okay, so we have already placed our furniture. Okay, so for the sake of time, seeing this is becoming a bit long, for the sake of time, allow me not to continue with that. In terms of fixtures, as much as I'm running away from it, I cannot run away from it entirely because we have to show. In terms of fixtures, here we have as the extent of our cabinet. Now, our cabinet, I will want us to use let's see, what are we getting? What are we getting? What are we getting? I'm trying to see the variety of image fields that we have here. The ones that we have here. Ceramic, no, tiling, no, transom, no. So as you can see, I don't have the material that easily represent that. So I will have to suppose I don't know the name of the material. I'll look for the various materials that are there that I can use. In this case, I can use granite. So I'm surprised we don't have granite here. Unless if we don't have it, we can quickly create it. Maybe granite. Top view. Okay, as you can see, we have a number. I would prefer the black granite one. So from here, we can get varieties of what we are looking for. Maybe open this image in a new tab. Granite. So as I said, you need to continuously improve your library. Okay. In my case, I did not have that granite. So what I can do, I can clone mahogany with granite. And then now change that material. Again, I'm still surprised we don't have granite here. So, because I use it frequently, so I'm quite surprised we don't have it. Nevertheless, just place it. Let's give it a size, maybe 600. Okay. So I'll come and look for my granite. Now, there it is. I'll place granite there. My lines don't clearly define my edges, so that's why it's behaving that way. So my edge, I will not want it to clash with the door, so maybe I can put it at around 100 on the door. So that would be the extent of my granite worktop. Notice that this one, that's the 600, so let me even hide that one for the time being. Okay, remember the layer for hide. Okay, now let me place my granite. There it is. Okay, so that's how you place those strong surfaces, especially the ones that are above the ground. Okay. Within this kitchen, we have a sink, we have a cooker. So I can easily come and place my sink. Again, you can take the object. Okay, you can take the object and use a 2D, or you can look for an image, sink top view. For me, this will be more it will be more presentable. So Looking for my sink. I'll open it somewhere. Here it is. Then, what's the size of the sink? These are things that you should know. Okay. So if you don't know them, scaling will really be a problem. Nevertheless, allow me to place it. Let me work with around a width of 500. So with a width of 500 there. Let's give it a transparent background. And let's come and place it. Now again, a bit of design issues, which I think we can resolve them here. All of them, it will just be fair enough for the sink to be centered. Okay. So it means that we can push the extent of that to reach there. So as you can see, we have our sink. Let's put our cooker. Again, the same thing. Cooker, top view. Look for a cooker that is representative of what you are looking for. I'll comfortably work with this. Okay, so I'll open the image. I'd rather open it first, confirm it's what I'm looking for, then save. Okay. So I'll come, just like how I've placed my sink, I'll come and place my cooker. I'll repeat, we are drafting. So at this level, we are even trying to understand how these things work. When you don't have that knowledge, then most of the times you normally struggle to even do this work. If you ignore the drafting part and just quickly jump into model, especially for us who are starting, it always does not go well. So it's 500, so I'll come again, message. So, yeah. And put it upwards, and so on and so forth, okay? So with that, at least now you have an idea of how, in terms of a scheme or a presentation, how to represent your various items, okay? So the only other issue that is remaining, so for the fixtures, you can all fix them, okay? Allow me to, for the breakfast table, maybe it's an extension of the granite. So I just need to have that granite just from there. There. With that, we are good to go. Okay. We have the floor finish, okay? We have various floor finishes. Let's see what we have here. From that, we have, let's say what we have in terms of timber flooring. It makes sense. In some of these things, maybe also consistent moving them. And I did not archive, so you might not be having them. Yeah, we have like that one, Yanka. Yanka is not so good. Okay. Okay, it's a bit boring. Local one. Local two. Allow me to use flottile one. Okay. So as we always say, you can create whatever flow finish that you want. Now I want to show the flow finish for my, allow me to do it in my master bedroom, in my, sorry, guest room. So if I was showing the guest room, normally it's advisable to place through or through. Okay. And then this will be the lowest display level. Okay. So where they are clashing, you'll have to sort out. So this one needs to come up. Okay. So that shows you the flow finish for that room. And I can continue. Okay. So can add from that area, have it in my corridor. Let's assume that's the same material that you use even on your kitchen. For your case variety that's tempered. Some of us usually overdo things, which at the end of the day, it loses the meaning. As I've said, it's advisable to place the whole extent. Okay, so in my case, the extent now can be easily defined. There it is, and this one I just need to push it there. This one I just need to add. So my friends, as you can see, if this is a representation of what I'm doing, at least we are more or less almost somewhere with our scheme, with our drafting. The only thing that might be remaining is how we label our spaces. Now, for me, labeling our spaces, it's always important that we label the space. Let's say this is the guest room. And you also give the material. So you can say ceramic tiles. Okay. And even at this level, you need to, in terms of hierarchy, you need to differentiate the two. This one should be a bigger font, maybe 5. And then everything should be centered so that if I say, so for me, we'll properly label my space. I need to put 2 forms of dimensions, the internal dimension. Small problem here. Noticing a problem that you should strive to avoid. Got and placed all those lines on the wrong layer. And you can imagine the problems that I will have to go through and correcting them. I'll correct them out of this session, but ideally they should be on the layer of doors. And I said I'll change that to doors and windows. So when you make that mistake, it becomes too expensive to correct. So always avoid them. Okay. That's why if now you see if I hide the to hide now, the work still looks presentable. Though I can see that this one is above my line for the wall, so I need to send it backwards. I cannot say beyond that, then what I need to do is to bring this one forward. Still not fully resolved. Can bring it to front to resolve it, but now move it backwards until that point when we resolve that issue. So ensure that you don't have those issues. Anyway, we have that. We need to have internal dimensions of our spaces. It's a layer that has been hidden here, so allow me to use that one for the time being. Well, that one gave us issues, so let's just create a new layer. So using the layer of dimensions. Space our dimensions. So it's good to always give us a guide on the overall internal dimensions of your spaces at this level. Does not need to be so detailed, but at the same time, it should give us a proper guide, okay? Now, seeing an issue here where my wall overlaps now. This one definitely now, this will be the opportune time to revert to transparent, so that I don't trouble myself so much with those areas. Though, as you can see, ideally, the tile should not be below the wall, okay? So we have placed our dimensions. You also need to place the dimensions for your grid. And for the grid, we'll have two sets of dimensions. We'll have one showing the overall dimension for the grid. Our grid is 19,900, and one showing the dimension between each grid. That's funny, yeah, something got lost here. Okay, then also dimension. I forgot to place my balcony, but for this, I'll finish up this work later. For your own sake, ensure that whatever you give us matches your design. Okay. And so on and so forth. So I will expect you to do the same even for your kitchen and all the other spaces. Okay. Dimension and put that. So once you're done with that, we are more or less done. If you use this part as a representation of work, we are more or less done with the drawing. So ensure that you create a new folder, call it main house. Now create a subfolder, call it drafting. Within it, I'm going to save my ground floor. And so on and so forth. So you do the same thing, what you've been doing. In my case, I don't have my original layouts. I'll lose nothing by importing them. So how to import them? You merge. So if I merge, now I can pick up my I need to look for where I've saved it. Just get my oh, copy so that I'm able to merge it. I just want to see the location of where I've saved this file because I've been moving things. I might have forgotten. Anyway, this is the advantage of using one machine consistently. Okay, though it has a disadvantage when you want it in a hurry, might not get it. So I've noticed, and that's always a concern, you'll find that there are students whom by the time they are reaching this level, they have 1,001 files. For me, even up to now, I just have one file. Whether it's in any of this. I know it's somewhere, but I might even save it here and override what you've been working with. But what I was saying is that it has saved so fast. That's interesting. Anyway, what I was saying is that for some of us, which is a concern, we find that at this level, you have so many files. What happens is that those files will confuse you. Those files will always confuse you. And by the time you are trying to get something, you will even not be able to know you did it in which file, okay? So it's always advisable to use just one file. In my case, I've just saved because for this tutorial, I don't remember why I saved it, but I'll go look for it. So what I wanted to do was to merge my layout book. And I'm doing this so that I pick up my settings. Remember, I had certain settings, okay? These ones might still be important, especially if I intend to migrate the site drafting, modeling, and documentation. So they can still be linked, okay? Like if I open this one, you can see it will start updating because now those two files are linked. This one works well if you are using your machine, one machine. If you are moving your files from one machine to the other, at times it does not work well, especially if you have linked so many files. Okay? So you'll find it having difficulties even to update. So as it is updating, we can continue with our work. So we have drafted that. So now we need to create a new subset. It's just similar to this. So I will copy this new subset. I will call it task B, where we have main house, drafting, modeling, and documentation. Okay, and within it we'll have another subset that we'll call main house drafting. Okay, and within it, we are now going to place our layout. Maybe we can call it ground floor. Okay. Now, in our ground floor plan, we want to place it in an A3. So I have to make sure that how I place it on some A3. Okay. So I was trying to look at this. You'll notice that the layer was hidden. Okay. So you must, though it will always continuously update. Okay. But that does not stop us from continuing with our work. So we want to place our sheet, our plan on A3. So we need to choose a layer. Let's look for a layer compatible with our layouts, furniture. As you can see, it has imported most of the layers from that other side. Allow me to work with this one for the time being. And that's what we want to place. There's something about anchorage that we need to correct. If you don't correctly resolve that issue, this will be auto. So let us open the whole drawing. My whole drawing might not be complete, but I have to place all of it nevertheless. So at this level, I can clearly define the extent of my drawing. So that's the extent of my drawing. So I did not look at what size fits because I expected it to fit, okay? But in such situations, the scale of the drawing supersedes the size of the sheet, okay? The scale must be 1 to 50. So does that mean, it means that in the event that the A3 does not fit, you need to look for the next best sheet, okay? In this case, it will be an A2. But for my case, an A3 is easily fitting. The title, just need to correct it. And the user standard double row. So I say okay, it is okay. Now, this is my situation. My 1 to 50 does not fit, and no matter how hard I try, force it, will not fit. Know that at this level, the scale supersedes the paper size. What does that mean? It means that we have to create the next layer of paper size. Just trying to see. So by that, I can easily clone this. Call it an A2. Okay. And the settings, if you can pick up the settings from a printer, does it have an A2? No. So if you have a printer that has those settings, fine. But now that we don't have a printer, you can just use a standard A2. Okay. Always remember, as a rule, you must have your title blocks and what have you. For the sake of my presentation, allow me not to, because of time, allow me not to show all that. But in your case, by now you must have designed your title blocks, okay? Let's go back here. Now we'll have to change this one to an A2. As you can see in the A2, it seamlessly fits. Okay, so at this level, as I've said, our scale will supersede the size of sheet. So where you need to adjust the size of sheet, kindly adjust it, okay? So with that, we'll have finished that work. By now, we know how to publish. The only thing that I notice our students, some of us that we are getting confused, you find a lot of inconsistency. So I want to maybe help you so that we minimize these inconsistencies. If we open the organizer, we can use the same, okay? And we can match what we have here, okay? So we can pick the whole of that task and place it. Place it there, okay? But now what we'll be doing, instead of creating two that are parallel, what you'll be doing is adjusting these settings. Anytime you want to publish, I want to publish it. So I want to place it there, okay? So maybe I can call it main house drafting, okay? I might want to start with a PDF, okay? So if I say okay, I can easily publish that. So now that I've adjusted the publishing properties, I can publish that. And it has been published. And so that we minimize confusion, at this point, you can change the type to a BIMX, okay? So, okay, so that you just publish the same thing. And that one has finished, okay? So that if you come and look at our deliverables, let's look at them. We have both the PDF, okay? And we also have the BIMX. And you'll find that since we are using the same source to publish, they are going to be consistent. So I think by doing that, we'll be able to eliminate the confusion that we've always had in the work. So you can see if this, what I'm going to discuss with my client is pretty presentable, the extent of where you have done. So again, I expect a minimum of that in your work. And now complete work. As you can see, this one has been a bit longer simply because there's so much to cover. So I hope 2.25 hours is long enough. So allow me to stop there. Kindly ensure that you draft all your work. Then our next discussion will be modeling. Thank you.